Rob, did you take out the trash?
Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
I'm all good for good fashion living, so let the game come in.
Alright, well, on that note, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody. I am Sid Part 2, aka Ian. I am joined today by Zazubar, aka Bill, Milan Jeftik 1992, that is his real name, and special guest, RobsRogues. Do you mind if I call you Rob? Should have asked that before we started recording. I can call you Rob, okay.
Yep.
Because RobsRogues is gonna get a little tongue twisty.
Yeah.
But anyway, today Rob has joined us because he's the most recent contestant to get voted off of Who Reviews the Reviewers. So today, Rob got to pick the topic, and I'm actually kind of excited about this because I'm sure we're gonna end this in a shouting match. Rob has decided that we will discuss the Robins of the Batman universe. Our very first, like, straight-up Batman-ish episode in a while, and it's on a topic that I have a fair amount to say. I'm not sure about everyone else here. I know Rob, obviously, is, as he was just saying, is prepared for it. So I'm excited. Where do you guys think we should start?
Let's start
Favorite
with the
Robin?
first one.
Maybe?
I think we should just go chronologically. We'll start with the circus boy, and then with the young thug, and then with the rich boy detective, and then with the 3-second girl Robin that got murdered by a lunatic in a skull mask, and then eventually we'll move on
It's
to
not a
the
mask.
whatever wood thing that looks like a skull that goes on his face.
No, it's black to his face.
It's
Yeah.
okay. The thing that is burned to his face. It's okay. She gets tortured and dies, but then comes back and becomes Batgirl. And then finally, we'll get to the one that everyone, I think, I at least like the most. The basically the grandson of Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
No, let me just say,
You're only the second person I've ever heard refer to him as Fu Manchu. That is awesome.
Thank you.
let me just say something here. I haven't read the recent Batman stuff where Damian dies, I guess. I kind of dropped off reading comics over the past 2 months, so I'm sorry if I'm not going to have a lot of insight on that. But basically, other stuff I should...
It's okay. We're gonna spoil the shit out of everything, so don't.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Good to know. Good to know.
My panel spoiling.
Okay,
Oh.
he dies horribly, and just very inappropriately
He doesn't even die horribly. I mean, it's just he gets.
He's drawn
Yeah.
like he looks like he's freaking 8 years old in that comic book, and he gets, oh my god, mutilated.
He
It's
looks
horrifying.
10 to me.
I don't know if you guys saw, if you're on Facebook, any of the Batman pages, Chris Burnham put out his rough sketches of what that scene was going to look like. If you saw the panels, they kind of had everything all blacked out, but it was a lot more gorier, where blood is pouring out of Damian's mouth and out of his chest wound, and the DC was like, no, that's too graphic, because this is still, in fact, a kid, so they made him black that out so it's more of a silhouette of Damian getting stabbed. So it was a little more
I
brutal.
actually like that more because I feel we've talked about this before. I feel that gore is superfluous, and it's actually much creepier when you don't get to see everything.
Oh, totally, totally.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's the kind of Hitchcock artistry to violence.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't know, Milan, you kind of just went through all the Robins, so let's go ahead and just say our favorites. Traditionally, I don't care for the character. Damian was the first one that I was kind of like, well, at least he makes sense. but it took a long time for me to come around to Damian in any way, and then they killed him. So I'm kind of in this weird place with Robins. I don't particularly care for the character at all. But I guess I would say Damian's my favorite. How about you, Bill?
Oh, interesting. It's a toss up for me between Dick and Tim. But since we're specifically talking about Robins here, I do like Dick better as Nightwing. So I'm gonna say Tim Drake is my favorite Robin, just because I like his dynamic with Bruce a lot, and I don't know. I think he got as Robin himself, and not from like any future alias. He got some of the greatest character stuff, I feel, in terms of actually being Robin and not after being Robin, if that makes any sense.
Sure. How about you, Milan?
The pre-Infinite Crisis, the pre-Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths,
Jason? Okay.
Blonde hair. Okay, seriously, I don't know, I like Damian, of course, I like all the Robins, but I like the idea of, Dick Grayson, being that kind of crazy, circus boy from the 30s, and it's just, I don't know, I would say it's equal between Damian Wayne and, the original ass kicker himself, Robin #1.
Okay, and Rob?
My favorite had always been Tim Drake. I really started getting into comics right when The Lonely Place of Dying came out, and I was reading that whole series going, Dick, put on the Robin costume. Dick, put on the Robin costume. When Tim's holding it in front of him saying, Batman needs a Robin, then Alfred has that wonderful line, well, perhaps that's why you're here. And then I was like, holy crap, we're going to get a friggin' new Robin. So I was in high school when that came out, and I felt like I grew up with Tim Drake as he became Robin. So once he was fully Robin, I was out of high school, and I was like, oh, he becomes Robin, I'm out of high school. So I was kind of identified with Tim Drake, and I thought he knew the place for Robin, that Batman has this side that needs to be kept in check, and Batman needs that partner to realize what he's truly out here fighting for. And I thought that Tim's writing as Robin was done best out of all the Robins. So
the thing,
you actually brought up
the thing
Rob,
about
you just brought up something that I really wanted to touch on, and I don't see a better place to transition.
But Ian, before we move on, my little thoughts on our good friend Tim. Basically, I before Damian Wayne came along. Okay, before our good friend, Damian came along, I grew up with Tim as well. I remember first being introduced to him reading in a Superman comic book when they were fighting vampires, and he just seemed really cool to me. But I liked him, and I really wanted to read more with him. But but I never really had the chance. I always liked him, and when he became Red Robin, that seemed cool as well. He always seemed cool to me. But it was one of those characters that you want to read about, but you never, get around to finding proper stories that feature off their awesomeness. So, but unfortunately, I skipped the Tim boat. But I want to go and check out some of his stuff. But then Damian came along, and I'm like, oh wow, a Robin from my generation. He's violent, spoiled, and I don't know.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. And crazy.
Something that I keep hearing come up in comics, movies, everything, is different and often contradicting reasons as to why Batman needs a Robin. Tim Drake says he needs him because if not, he'll get way too violent, and that seems to be the approach that they went with recently, right after Damian died. And that's a pretty good one. I like that idea, but I just don't see Batman losing control like that. The other one that I've heard, this was done in the first animated movie from the DC Directs, Justice League something or other, New Frontier. They gave the explanation that Batman scared children, so he needed someone there to, make them realize he was okay. And I guess that makes sense.
That kind of defeats the whole purpose. Yeah, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of Batman. If he's supposed to be scaring the piss out of criminals, and then going, okay, I won't rob a bank, but can your kid come over to my son's costume party? He looks awesome. You know?
No, I just like the
I've
idea
never
that
heard
Robin
that before.
was-
That's hilarious. That almost sounds like a parody of Batman.
No,
Yeah.
no. That was the explanation they gave. They didn't like directly say it in the movie, but in the movie, Batman's trying to save a kid from this house fire, and the kid's frightened of him because it's a giant bat, and he couldn't get him. Like it took a long time to get him out, and actually Martian Manhunter had to save him. And that's the next time we see Batman in that movie, or one of the next times. He's got Robin.
They do something like that in Batman Beyond as well, which is one of my favorite scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where Terry takes off his mask. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't know. Do you think we should cover Terry at all? Because he's not exactly a Robin, but he's not exactly Batman.
Well, if he comes up naturally, I think so. But otherwise, I think we should just keep it Robin, because he's not really.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
And
yeah. He's not
big of a-
exactly. You're not a
Rob,
Rob.
go
You're
ahead.
not.
Rob, Milan, shut the fuck up. Rob, go ahead.
You again.
as big as a Batman fan that I am, I cannot stand Batman Beyond. I don't know
Really?
what it is about it. I love the animated series to death. For me, it's one of those. Now, here's where I get off on a tangent. Batman is always going to be 32 years old, or 31, or 33. I don't want to see a Batman of the future, and it's kind of like Back to the Future 2. This is what the future is going to look like, and now we are in the era of Back to the Future 2, and it's like, I don't have a friggin' flying car. I don't have a
Damn it.
it kind of seems, I don't know. I look at that as an Elseworld story. Like, those are books I
definitely.
never picked up, and I don't know.
Yeah, because having a bookend to a long saga like Batman, it just kind of sort of gets the magic dust kind of blown off the piece of art. It's like Batman has an ending. Aww. Batman never has an ending.
Always had to. We all know how Batman's story is supposed to end. He dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only way Batman can end true to character, and that's the big problem with Batman Beyond is you have to get over that hill. But once you do, it's actually fairly interesting. But let's get back to Robin. So, Rob, what's your favorite reason for Robin to exist is because Batman needs someone to temper him down.
Yeah.
How about you guys, Bill? Bill, Milan.
I've always liked that.
Oh,
reason
yeah,
as
I
well.
got an
So
idea.
It's
I
always
always
made
thought that.
Okay, Bill first.
Okay. I've always liked that reason as well. It's always been the one I've kind of looked to as the reason Robin's around. But just as a reader of comics and a fan of Batman, I've always liked Robin as a character, and I've always felt that he was there for a story reason. It's just because, I like the idea of Batman being an example to someone he works with personally, you know what I mean? Because Batman is always, obviously, I think you can make this argument for any superhero, really. They're supposed to be the role model for what society is supposed to base themselves on. That they put others before their own lives, and Batman is a pinnacle example of that. And the way Batman operates, he's supposed to be a symbol for that more figuratively than personally, because not a lot of people know Batman personally, even those he works with, like Jim Gordon. Robin and Alfred even kinda are those only two people who know the man beneath the mask, and that gives us this very interesting look at him that we don't get from any other character, because no one else knows about Batman. So I always thought Robin was, as like a sun figure kind of, this window into another side of Batman, and a side of Batman that I always love to explore. So that's just kind of why I like to read Robin, especially with Batman. I've never really cared for Robin on his own, just because Robin is kind of there, as most sidekicks are, to emphasize an aspect of the hero. So I've never cared for Robin on his own. But yeah, that's kind of the reason why I like Robin as a character and why I like him in relation to Batman.
Okay, Milan?
With Bill, I see where he's coming from, but I kind of really like to see stories based like with Nightwing and Robin and all the side characters, because sometimes it's when you do have really good stories with side characters of a really big, big franchise characters like Batman or Superman, I think it really helps, and when it's really done right, stories with Robin can do really great. Can be really great and expand the universe of Batman. Not just the DC universe, but the Gotham. You see the stuff that Batman doesn't really explore, and the kind of lighter quote unquote side of Gotham, or from a teen's perspective. But the reason why I was so, even from a young age, I was saw Robin as kind of Batman knowing that, yes, I am going to die. So it was sort of like this weird, knight training up a young squire, because I have to disagree with you, Rob, because I always thought that Batman, would, he's smart enough and, logical enough knowing like, okay, and obsessed enough knowing like, okay, I am eventually gonna die, or I'm too fucking stubborn to die, and I'll just grow old and I won't be able to, keep Gotham safe. So I need to train up a kid, and it's that aspect is really explored in The Dark Knight Returns, where he basically takes in these kids, and it's not really, he's basically training them to be not exactly the next Batman, but the next stand-in for Batman. And that's...
See, I disagree with that. I'm not gonna say that there aren't versions where that's definitely his intent, but I find overall that's kind of a despicable motivation for Batman.
I agree.
That I'm going to die, so I need someone to carry this on for me. That's really selfish, and that bugs me.
I think
the way I've always seen it is he just trains these kids because they're going to get themselves killed anyway. Let me finish real quick. The Batman Forever, not a good movie, but one thing I really did like about it, and they do mess up Robin a lot, even though I don't care for the character, there's a right way to do him, and that wasn't it. But the one thing they did get right is Robin was going to go out there and look for Two-Face no matter what. Batman was just there to make sure he didn't do anything stupid. And I like that aspect of it. Jason Todd was going to get himself killed in the end. And it's through his character flaws that he died. But Batman was there and kept him alive a little longer. Tim Drake is kind of the exception to this, but you go to Stephanie and she was just a fuck up, and the best thing she ever did was die as a character. But then you look at sorry, I don't like Stephanie Brown's resurrection. And then you look at Damian, and without Batman there, he was done.
He would have been
Damian Damian would have been a villain. Batman's this guiding force that keeps these people who are, I'm going to say antisocial, but don't take that in a negative way, and he keeps them from becoming monsters, in my opinion.
I agree with that. But the thing is, I'm not saying he goes out and actually looks for these kids. I do agree with Ian completely that these kids kind of fall into his lap, as it were, and he has like, okay, either I take these guys in, just because of circumstances, and I train them up, because they're fucking idiots and they're gonna get their fucking heads blown off. And of course there's the other side of like, I need somebody to keep me from becoming the Punisher basically, and reminding me that I need to stay at a certain level of crazy. So all those aspects that everyone mentioned, it does go into the aspect of Robin, but also I think up to a point where like he does get the kid, he trains him up a bit, and he's like a little bit like okay, this is a little weird. I know it's fun. We're punching out crime, but it's still a kid, and I'm still training him up to be basically an unstoppable freaking super soldier. But I think at some point, like halfway through like their relationship, between Batman and the Robin, he goes, okay, if things turn out the way they turn out, this guy could possibly the guy to replace me. It's not that he wants. If the cards go in that direction, like Cassandra Cain, she actually wanted to be the next Batman, as it were. So, I guess.
I've always,
Rob, go ahead. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I've always thought that the same way. You mentioned the knight and squire type of deal, and I think Dick Grayson's character kind of went back to that. Bruce lost his parents in an alley, and it's like vengeance, vengeance, vengeance. I'm going to, wreak vengeance on Gotham and show the criminals, that we're not going to stand for this in the city. And then this tragic incident happens to Bruce Wayne, and I think once Bruce's parents died, that childhood is gone from him. He stopped being the 6-year-old kid in the alley, and instantly it was like, I'm the man of the house, this is my mission. And seeing Dick lose his parents, I think that was kind of him maybe kind of realizing he's just a kid. And by bringing him into the house and things like that, I think at first was kind of getting that kid feeling that he lost, and having that bright character being a positive by him. I think they were both vicariously living through each other. And that was another reason Robin was created to begin with, was to give kids that are reading comics, I can't relate to Batman, but gee, how cool would it be to swing across the rooftops with Batman? So
with that, it's interesting because basically Batman, he dealt with his parents' death in a positive way. He made that instead of spending his inheritance on drugs and hookers, he went out and became basically Batman. But it's
like that's the only alternative. It's either become Batman or drugs and hookers.
Yeah.
Let me get. Wayne could have become a doctor scenario here.
Let me get through the point. But basically,
sorry.
But basically, it's interesting that basically Dick Grayson, he basically had very similar circumstances. His parents were killed, by a lunatic, basically in front of him. But of course, death was always there because they're acrobats. I think he dealt with it much better. He was, he still could laugh and smile, while young Bruce, he died in that alley with his parents.
I don't think Bruce died. I think that's just the day his childhood ended.
And I think the idea of Robin is that the reason why Dick turned out better than Bruce in terms of emotional stability, I suppose. I mean, I think an argument can be made that Dick is not as crazy as Bruce is.
I think that's what I mean because when Batman sees Dick Grayson, he sees like this kid took that horrible tragedy and he took that aspect of like swashbuckling adventurer and wanting the justice, wanting retribution, and he sees this kid. He's running around. He's making jokes. He's still doing the acrobatics and the super action, and he's like, this is the kid that died at me.
Well, and that's also a point that you made, that I think in the comics they say Dick was actually older than Bruce when his parents died, but his parents were circus.
Bruce was 8 and Dick was 12.
There were circus acrobats, like you said. So there was always that fear when we're doing trapeze acts. My parents or I could fall to our death. When Bruce goes to the movies, we're going to the movies. I didn't think we were going to die going to a movie, which ironically plays later.
Yeah.
Yeah, and besides, they performed without a net, so the idea like if we fuck up, we're dead, basically.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the thing is I think Dick's parents sat him down at one point and said, "Listen, honey, there's a big chance we're going to die during performance one day." He didn't expect it to be because of a criminal, but still, depending on the comic you read, I don't believe that Dick saw the man that killed his parents happen, or didn't see the man kill his parents. That Batman figured out it was sabotage after the fact.
Yeah.
So I think the initial death of his parents, Dick had already accepted by the time that information came to light.
I think he was more comfortable with it than Bruce was, just because it was always at the back of his mind in a way it wasn't for Bruce. Because I apologize, I don't remember who pointed this out. As when you pointed out, Bruce never in a million years as an 8-year-old child is not going to expect that his parents are going to get shot in front of him at a movie theater.
And more than that, I mean, he's an 8-year-old of privilege. He's never experienced violence in his entire life.
In his eyes, his parents could be they're immortal to him. Like they're these people who could run this city if they wanted to with their pockets. And to see them gunned down in such like a human and humble way, and I mean they got gunned down in an alley. I think that scarred him for life in a way that it didn't for Dick, because I think that he's immensely more prepared for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a blue-collar carny kid. He's used to two-fisted act, violence. People get shot. He's a carny kid.
Yeah. Now let me ask you guys this. So there's obviously a lot of relation between Bruce and Dick.
Right.
Now, why is it that Bruce gravitated toward Robin? I mean, it seems like Bruce Wayne could have helped Jason Todd. My bad. Why is it that Bruce gravitated towards Jason? It seemed that Bruce Wayne could have helped Jason Todd out in a better way as Bruce Wayne, not as Batman, than he ever could have as Batman, in my opinion.
I think Batman has been going when we met Jason. You know, Dick Grayson has already gone to college and whatever, but Batman has been around the mean streets of Gotham for quite a while now. So I'm sure he's seen like kids, when he first started out, teenagers, robbing, stealing hubcaps and stealing TVs and shit. I think he's old enough to see like the idea of like, okay, I'm beating up these kids and they're gonna go to the juvie, or I'm going light on them now, and they come from broken homes, with parents that don't give a fuck about them. So the only way they can fucking have any sort of control over their lives is by stealing and shit. And
now, wasn't Jason?
I
know Jason's mother had run out on them, and that's something they brought back during the Death in the Family arc. Which is a terrible, terrible story, by the way. But was Jason's father dead, or was he like in a gambling debt to some?
He was an alcoholic.
Okay, I know he wasn't in the home a lot, so.
Well, I think like played off.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Rob. Go ahead.
Go.
Oh, I think it was played off. I don't know if you read the Zero issue of Red Hood and the Outlaws, but I think
I did. Oh,
yeah,
God.
I got some issues with that, but it's a new universe, yada yada. I'll let some things go. But I think it was played off there that his dad, it was druggy, whatever. Mom presumed dead. Dad just kind of goes to jail, disappears, and was kind of told that your father's dead, but I think even in that issue, he wasn't believing that he really was dead. So,
or he didn't give.
I don't know. I hated that story just because Joker should. Why would he care about a kid on the streets? Make him into a Robin just so he could kill him? It was so convoluted and dumb.
The thing about that issue that it really fucking pissed me off. The one thing about that issue, everything else I could keep, whatever, but the one thing that I just couldn't fucking let go, he never actually tries to steal Batman's hubcaps.
Fair enough. I did like that. That's the clever part of Jason's origin, is that Batman seeing him steal the hubcaps.
Here's the interesting thing with Jason. We've seen Batman in stories.
Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
We've seen Batman in stories before on television and comics deal with alienated youth on the street, who are stealing, have no direction in life, who are just kind of living on the streets and are dealing with criminals. And then he'll usually do something, whether as Batman or as Bruce Wayne, to help them kind of get back up on their feet. He'll send them to what was her name? Dr. Tompkins?
Yeah.
Lisa Tompkins.
Yeah, right.
Leslie Tompkins.
Yeah, he'll send them to her, or he'll send them to live with someone, or he'll send them to like some kind of job or something to set them along on a path. We've never seen him, with the exception of Jason, taking someone as closely as I'm gonna make you my fellow sidekick. And I think a part of it, and I haven't read the stories where in the comics at least, where Batman picked up Jason for the first time. But just based on my knowledge of Batman and my knowledge of Jason, I think of the Batman history that was going on at the time, I think that part of it might have been that Bruce was psychologically, like, he wanted someone to fill Dick's shoes. Because I think that could be part of it too, is that's why he picked Jason to do that specific thing. It's not that he didn't just send him off to a center, and there was something he saw in Jason where he was like, he could be my new Robin. And I'll have that, companionship again that I've been missing, because me and Dick have become separated. I think that could potentially be part of it too.
I don't know. I was listening to another podcast. It's called Taking Flight, and he was talking about Dick being fired for doing something, and he was still Robin as a Teen Titans. And he actually gets a hold of Jason Todd while Dick is still Robin, essentially. And he equated that to, I've just broken up with my girlfriend, and you know what? I'm going to pick this chick up, and I'm going to nail her just to make you upset. But I think Jason was a total rebound of whatever didn't work between he and Dick, because Dick was getting older and didn't need that mentorship anymore.
That parental figure. And, actually, I'm going to say, I agree with that more than anything. I'm going to agree with that more than anything else, both in the, in-universe explanation and for out-of-universe thing. I feel like the need to get a second Robin was more by the writer's standards than by the character's needs at the time.
Yeah,
so I mean, it works for the character, but I think that's really the thing is, well, shit, we need him to have a Robin again. So they rushed in Jason Todd.
And Dick even says in the issue.
Rob, the thing you just said, said, that was, oh my god, that's, when people talk like that, and people who are not in the know about comics, you just described a weird gay pederast relationship, which is just odd.
Well, I mean, he's using it as a metaphor, but yes, I suppose.
I know.
Metaphorically speaking, it's like, I don't know what didn't work with Dick and I. Here's this kid. He's a trouble teen. I can turn him around too. And Dick even makes the comment to Batman, what are you doing? You're just going to pull some random kid off the street. He's not trained. Dick had a skill set just being a trapeze artist. And he's like, this kid's a thug, and you're just going to throw him into a costume and let him swing on ropes through Gotham City?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think actually more has been done with Jason that's much more interesting after his death, even before the Under the Red Hood story. I think more was done with Jason that's much more interesting after his death than beforehand, because initially it was the shock, well, shit, we need a Robin. And then after that, they realized, yeah, this was kind of a rushed thing. Let's make this a Batman character flaw. Which, I mean, you get very few of, because Batman's usually this ideal human being.
Right.
But this was one of the few things that humanized him in a way in which I can agree with. All right?
Yeah.
I don't mind Batman, having that shock of, oh my god, I need a companion kind of thing. Because there it works, because he'd been around with Dick so long that he just... God, this is getting so heterosexual. This is getting so homoerotic.
Yeah. On a little tidbit, I was looking up some information before we started this show here, that Jason Todd as Robin and as a character was in existence for 6 years, and that is the same amount of time that Damian was in existence as a character and as Robin. They both were in continuity for 6 years and then died.
That doesn't surprise me at all. That's Grant Morrison. That's Grant Morrison for you. I am not surprised in the slightest.
Speaking of Grant Morrison, one thing I love about Jason that they did in what was it? It was Batman and Robin Volume 1, right after he got off the main Batman title. This is the story where Dick as Batman and Damian as Robin meet up with Jason and that girl who had her face fucked up by Dr. Pig.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes in that book is when Jason and Dick are confronting each other, and obviously Jason despises Dick. And one of the things that was very interesting to hear come out of Jason's mouth that would work for that is he says, "Bruce made me dye my hair because of Dick." And I was like, oh my god, that's so fucked up, and that would just... It's such a psychologically scarring thing, because it's like, I'm living in your shadow, and I never really got to define myself.
No, but that's Grant Morrison straight out of the comics. That's actually was in canon.
I mean, you were talking about pre-crisis. I have the issue of the pre-crisis origin of Jason Todd, where he was a circus performer.
Yeah.
A red-haired kid, and I was like, it's a carbon copy Dick Grayson. Why get rid of Dick Grayson if you're just going to turn around and give us a red-headed Dick Grayson?
Yeah, actually, let me comment on something that Bill just brought up. One of the things that I really... Oh, Bill, I'm echoing. Can you put it on? One of the things that...
Hang on. Sorry, guys.
One of the things I really liked about the Grant Morrison run on Batman and Robin is in that specific issue, or, well, later in that story arc, rather, when Dick is telling Jason to give up and to come back to the cave and, we can help you. Morrison did this entire thing throughout his Batman run where he would mirror old issues that were iconic. And he'd tell the artist to mirror them directly. when Jason is telling Dick that no, he won't do that, no, he won't give up, he is making the exact same physical poses that the Joker was in The Killing Joke, when Batman told him that he could help him.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic parallel, and New 52 screwed that entire canon up with Red Hood and the Outlaws, because in the most recent stuff, I didn't mind Jason coming to Gotham to help deal with the Joker. That's fine. In the most recent stuff, though, Jason was literally staying in Wayne Manor again. I'm like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, I just picked up Red Hood and the Outlaws 18 today, and it's after the events of Jason getting his face fried, and I'm flipping through it. I'm like, he spent the friggin' night at Wayne Manor?
Yep.
Like, unbelievable. Yep. And, that first story arc was Jason still being quasi-pissed at Bruce. And then I get my face fucked up and, I love you again.
Yeah, one thing I really don't like about the New 52 Red Hood...
Bill, just real quick. That book I had a little bit of faith in because there was one issue where, they're doing this weird mystical crap with Jason where he got, mystic Eastern training from blah blah made-up Countryville.
Yeah.
And, it is to get through this passage, they had to give away their most precious memory, and they'd get it back at the end of the issue. And the guy's giving them the memories back at the end of the issue, and he goes, Jason, don't you want yours back? And he says, no, keep it. And it's of Bruce and Jason when he was Robin, sitting in the house watching a movie because Jason was sick and couldn't go out on patrol that night. And I was like, that's really good character stuff. And now he's sleeping at Wayne Manor. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did it go wrong?
One thing that drove me crazy when I first saw the New 52 Red Hood design, why does Jason have a bat symbol on his suit?
I like that. It was a direct mockery of Bruce Wayne.
That suit is actually Dick Grayson's suit. Apparently he had the, Corey, if you read that issue, Corey gave Jason that suit because it was one of Dick's suits as he was slowly transitioning into Nightwing. So they've never said it, but evidently Dick decided to put a bat symbol on it. So that's...
I didn't mind that, especially with Batman Inc. going on. It made Jason kind of this parody of Batman Inc.
It didn't come off that way to me. So. I don't know, it bothered me.
Yeah,
just as someone who does like Jason Todd, I was like, I don't like that. Because Jason, over the past 2 years especially, Jason has been fighting to get out of Bruce and Dick's shadow. Fighting, tooth and nail. And I'm just he just took 20 steps back.
Mm-hmm.
It's
guys,
I hate you guys. You guys suck. Oh, can I please have your logo? Brand recognition, motherfucker. Brand recognition.
I'm gonna see if this. We got someone that wants to Skype in. I'm gonna see if they're still by the computer because I told them they had to wait a little bit. So, let's just see what happens if I try and add them to the call.
Sure.
See how this goes.
Live Skype in.
Yep, live Skype ins. Anyway, hey, you there, man?
Yeah, I'm here.
Alright, guys, Magpie wants to Skype in, for our Robin episode, and thanks, Magpie. What is your comments that you would like us to address directly?
Okay, I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on Robin in the new series of Batman films that's supposed to be coming out next.
Could you be a little more specific, because I don't really follow the rumors. What are they saying he's going to be like in the new films? Are you asking if he should be in them, or what?
I'm asking, should he be in them? Should he have his origin redone again? Or should he just be there?
Okay, thanks, man. Let's talk while you're still on the phone here. The way I think they should do it is just, take a complete departure from what Marvel's been doing as far as DC goes, and with these new string of characters, after Man of Steel, just drop us right in the middle of this character's life, no origin, nothing, they just are this way. And I think that's the only acceptable way to do Robin, because anything else is going to be ridiculously creepy, given the modern context, to have, hey, kid, would you like to beat the shit out of people with me?
Yes, sir, Mr. Batman,
I don't think that'd be the dialogue. But I agree. I don't really want we know we're not getting a Batman origin, which thank God. But in terms of Robin, I agree. I just like to see Robin just kind of be there. But also, I wouldn't mind him. I imagine they're going to use Dick Grayson. And if they end up doing that, I can hear my echoing really bad.
Okay, I think.
Magpie, can you turn down your volume a little bit, please?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Matt. I could hear myself. It was a little bit distracting. I would imagine they're going to use Dick Grayson, and I really don't think they should go into his origin. I would like to see kind of a Skyfall-esque approach to Robin's character, though, because one thing I love about Skyfall as a Bond film is it makes this really great in-universe case for Bond still being relevant as a character. And I would almost like to see the new Batman film. This wouldn't necessarily have to be the main plot like it is in Skyfall for James Bond, but I would like to see a Batman film that makes a really great case for Robin existing in modern film and modern pop culture. And if they do that, I think that it's going to go a long way to making Robin a character that will stop being the butt of a lot of jokes. And I think that that'll also help the new Batman universe. So that's kind of my feeling towards that.
Yeah, I think they should go for that kind of a really interesting mix of reality, like gritty, like just really gritty. That really kind of gritty and that kind of really fantastical design aesthetic they went with the Arkham games, because I don't care what anybody says, I love the Robin design in the Arkham City game, because he just looks like a brawler. It's just like, god damn it, you can believe a guy dressing up like that and just kicking the crap out of him because he looks real. And for me, I think if they go with that type of, I'm not saying that they should, but if they're gonna go for that kind of urban, gritty fisticuff style of blue collar Batman, I think they should go with that Robin. Maybe not steroid him up a bit, make him a bit more of a gymnast. But yeah, if they can do that, I think that'd be great. And Ian, I completely agree with you. If they can just throw you into the stew of the universe instead of just going through the tedious process of just telling another pointless origin story. That's the thing. You don't have to keep retelling the same, origin stories. Just get an interesting looking universe, throw the people right in the middle of the action and just slowly let them in on the rules of the universe, and then just take it from there.
Okay. Rob, your thoughts?
I'm kind of the same way. Anytime you do an origin story, I love Batman Begins, but the first almost half of that movie, well, 3/4 of the movie is Bruce Wayne becoming Batman. Yeah, there's a lot of story, but it's like, okay, let's get to the punching. Let's get to the thing that this movie is leading towards. And I would almost take it in the fact that you could do it in a few little segments that, Batman and Robin are working together. They get back to the Batcave, and something is made mention, not bad for your first year, or that there's a little bit of exposition that
throwaway dialogue.
Parents were
actually, that reminds me. Did you guys ever watch The Batman?
Yes.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I did.
I actually really like that show's got its moments, and one thing I really like about it is we're thrown in on the 3rd anniversary of Bruce Wayne's becoming Batman. He goes home to the cave that night, and Alfred's made him a cake for being Batman for 3 years now.
At the beginning of that show?
And I thought that was a good way to establish that this character's been around for a while.
At the beginning of that show?
Yeah, very first
really?
episode.
I remember watching it. It was Batman's origin. Not his parents being killed, but it was the first night he put on the costume.
No, not at all.
Oh, okay, my bad. I don't remember it correctly then. Because I remember watching. They used to do this marathon on Boomerang of the Batman episodes, and the first one I watched recently. I watched that show when it first came on, but recently catching it by accident was just it was the first episode, and it was Batman was new or something, and I don't know, my memory is shitty, so.
Well, he was an urban legend for 3 years, and then he finally started to become really popular because in his first episode, the Joker's there, and the Joker makes him, which I always like to do when people do this with the Joker. The Joker makes him step into the spotlight.
Yeah, I think that's always interesting.
But anyway, Rob, any more specific thoughts on like good ways to do Robin, like versions you'd prefer them to use, stuff like that?
I love the Arkham universe a lot. I'm actually reading Batman Arkham Unhinged, and there's an issue where it's Tim, but he's going in to infiltrate the Penguin's gang and getting into basically a UFC type of fight where he's going under disguise, and I like that kind of look of, like he said, to make him a brawler. You got some legitimacy to the Robin character. We're already invested in the universe, and instead of maybe a trapeze artist, maybe kind of change it to he was a UFC kid or something like that.
Parkour even.
So you don't mind them. You don't mind them taking and tweaking the origin, even if it's not an original Robin.
Sometimes I'm like that, but in this day and age, it's kind of like, I remember going to circuses as a kid, but I don't know how many times people still do that nowadays. So at one point, I'm like, no, don't change origin, don't change continuity. And on the other hand, I'm like, well, if it's serving story purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can still have him be like a carny kid, but have him like a parkourist on the side. So like he's already has like the athletics of a aerialist, but also have him be like a parkour kid and be in UFC. Just throw away dialogue.
Actually, I think the way to do it is just instead of like a classic circus thing. Let me just throw this out, see how it works for you guys. We can ponder it. Instead of a classic circus gimmick, what if it's just like a traveling group that like something like a circus, but for a modern day, and they do like street parkour for like essentially like really really low ladder people. Like throw some money in a hat and we'll do some cool tricks for you.
That seems
not for Grayson. I could see that working for Jason, but for Dick, I think the way to do it in this day and age is you still have like stuff at events at like a Coliseum. Like, there's this place near where I live called Nassau Coliseum, and they do shows that take place before bigger events, like before hockey games and such, or like before indoor football games, like with the Dragons and stuff, where it's like, it's trapeze artists. So, if they did something like that, where that's where Dick came from, I think that would work fine. I do agree that the idea of, like, the Ringley Brothers kind of circus doesn't work great anymore for our day and age, but you don't have to do it to the point where, like, you're completely getting rid of the showmanship of that kind of event. So I think like something like a pregame. I do like the idea of Dick being a parkour guy though. That sounds cool to me, and it makes a lot of sense for our day and age.
Okay, so Magpie, any other?
So one more thing before we move on. There's a lot of freaking circus performers where my mom's lives. There's like a aerialist studio for girls and boys. But anyway, dude, I completely agree with your not agree, but with Batman Begins, they really had to legitimize Batman again, because the last movie to have a guy in pointy ears was the one with George Clooney and the Iceman. Man, you gotta friggin' give Batman his balls back, and just gonna say, you know what? Don't worry, there won't be any ice puns.
I have a huge gripe. After seeing the Avengers, I do not want to see a black Batman ever again on screen. If Captain America can run around in red, white, and blue, and Spider-Man can be in blue and red, put Batman in friggin' gray, give him a bright yellow utility belt, give him a blue cape or the black cape, and make him look like the Batman comics like the Avengers did. I
completely agree. I completely agree.
Just to
I'm
throw this one out
for
there,
a gray and blue Batman on screen.
Yeah.
To throw this out there to legitimize that, because the major argument against that is, well, it's not going to be bulletproof if it's just fabric. The major argument against that is, do you guys know what carbon fiber is?
Oh, you've showed me before,
Yeah. There's actually a substance, for those that don't, made of carbon bonds that is stronger than diamonds and can be used to weave fabric. And it's incredibly expensive, but guess what? I'm not sure if you know this, but Batman's fucking rich.
And my whole thing is, you don't have to explain it. You don't have to explain what Captain America's suit was made out of in the movie. You're like, It's friggin' Captain America. Red, white, and blue. You don't have to say, well, it's this carbon fiber horse shit. It's friggin' Batman.
At a certain point, you have to, like, Batman needs the practicality of it.
Yeah.
Captain America, you didn't need it because he didn't make it himself. It was this, government organization thing. They had to explain Iron Man's armor. It's not like he just it's not like he just got out of the cave. It's not like you just saw him go into the cave one day, and then he just came out in the fucking giant, the Mach 1, and then you just see him go home, and he just, you see him start flying around town and fighting Iron Warmonger. That didn't just happen. You got to see the process of him developing.
Yeah.
But
with characters like Iron Man and Batman, there's that kind of extra fun of especially with the Nolan movies and the Iron Man movie. There's that kind of really what's the right name for that genre? Spy tech porn. Basically, it's like, oh wow, look at this.
It that way, but okay.
Well, not porn, but basically this kind of. It's the fun of saying like, oh, look at this new technology that we're using in films. It exists, but we're kind of pushing it, and it's that kind of thing that spy novels have. It's like, look at this new technology that's based on real fact.
Okay, sure. Magpie, we're getting away from film the more we talk. Is there any other direct questions you want to ask us before I drop you?
No. No, that's it from me. Thanks for listening.
All right.
And thanks for answering the question.
Thanks.
See you, man.
Cheers, mate.
Coming on.
Your comments on the episode. Bye.
Cheers, mate.
Anyway, alright, I agree. The film thing, you can definitely do Batman's classic gray and black costume on film. I mean, City of Scars, it looked awesome. Yeah, they've made practical versions of the Arkham universe costume, and it looks awesome. So I'm not gonna say that you can't do it. I don't mind the cool black armor ninja look. That's just me though. I get why people don't like it. That's fine. I don't mind it.
If they just took the aesthetic of the Arkham games, because that does look like the comics, but also real life. So it's kind of this weird mix, which is like you got your gray and black, bluish cowl Batman, but you also got that's Mr. Freeze, and he looks awesome. You can pull that off in live action.
Let me ask you guys a question to get back to Robin. One thing they've been saying a lot about the Batman reboot and the stuff that's going to work into Justice League is that it's going to be about Batman's second year of operation. If they do end up introducing Robin, how do you guys think the time thing should play in? Should Robin be relatively new, or should they say Batman was on his own for half a year or a full year, and then he brought Robin in, or how do you guys think they should deal with that?
The way I think they should deal with it is similar to how I've always organized my comics. Right? I have my trades, and I have Batman Year 1, Batman or Long Halloween, and then Dark Victory. I think that, and those should all be in complete chronological order. I think it should go Year 1, Long Halloween, those 2 years on his own completely, and that's when Robin comes in the middle of the third year.
Yeah.
I would agree. I have my comics.
I can see that.
Order.
2 or 3 years by himself, and then he takes on a kid.
Yeah, and it's completely by accident. He didn't even think about it. I think is the way that it should go.
Totally.
I agree.
All right. So we've talked about Dick. We've talked about Jason. Let's move on to Tim. What is the relation? The thing I was wrapping him up that Batman kind of saved these kids' lives. But with Tim, it's almost the exact opposite.
Yeah, I think
Tim saved his life.
Yeah, that's how I've always taken the Tim Drake character. Is Tim is the thing that pulls Batman out of the abyss, and one of my favorite lines in Lonely Place of Dying when Tim's in Dick's costume, or maybe it's Jason's costume, is saying you can't kill Batman. And then Batman's line is, or Robin, where he acknowledges, I think it's even said in the comics too, it's just like a police officer. It's sad when a police officer gets shot, but you don't go, well, we're not going to replace that police officer. That position needs to be filled to maintain, it's a symbol that needs to be maintained, at least in Batman's sanity, if you will.
Batman and Robin will never die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Tim is the only one who pursued the Robin costume, from the get-go. You know
Well,
what
I mean, we can argue Damien.
Yeah, but even then, he happened to be Bruce Wayne's son, you know what I mean? It's like, he didn't
No, but I mean,
choose it.
Damien's the one that, like, really put himself... Like, that was the thing, that was what's the thing? Grant Morrison's first run, someone help me
Batman
out
and
here.
Son.
Batman's
Yeah,
son.
thank you.
He friggin' knocks Tim off a dinosaur. He crashes.
Yeah,
and he's like,
suit.
I shall usurp you!
Yeah, I love that fight scene.
Oh my god.
But,
the thing with Tim, he actually went out and trained under the same people Batman trained, and the thing that's really interesting, just, see...
I'd never heard that before, that's interesting.
Yeah, I never knew that either.
Because each Robin kind of gives a reflection of Batman's personality. Like with Dick, it was his acrobatic skills and his parkour, if you will. With Damien, with
How's that
Jake,
his personality, Milan?
well, not personality, but basically, he's he's
no, I'm just saying with Dick
and Batman.
With
Dick, it's
adventures. Yeah, theatrics.
I'm gonna say with Dick, it was his background, his past. I'm gonna say with Jason, it was his violence and his rage.
His brutality.
With
brutality.
Tim, it's his rationality and his logic, and with Damien, yeah, it's rationality, logic. I'm not really sure what else. The word deductive. But anyway, with Damien, it's in this weird place.
Well, Damien is kind of the
sure.
rich kid side of Batman.
Yeah.
They're kind of that royalty, I think, because with Damien is like, I'm obviously going to replace Batman after he's dead. It's almost like the princely thing, and I don't mean that as like, oh, I'm so rich. It's kind of like I have earned, I've trained under the best people. It's more like the old school kind of just like that really classic kingly, like I will rule like Alexander, like Alexander the Great. I'll take over my father's throne, and I shall rule with an iron fist.
I don't know if I give Alexander the Great that voice, but okay.
In an issue
that was
of Teen Titans, after Tim is Red Robin, he actually refers to Damien as young Alexander. And then that's when the two of them fight, and they end up fighting in front of Crime Alley. And Dick swoops in as Batman and says, "Do you realize the spot you two are fighting on? They realize they're in the middle of Crime Alley."
Yeah, it's almost like this spot is sacred. You guys are fighting on holy ground.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the place where Batman was born. You take your shoes off.
But the point I was trying to make earlier with Tim was that Damien pursued it in a different way. Tim could have had nothing to do with Bruce ever in his life. You know what I mean? Like, Damien is his son, and that kind of gives him an immediate connection. Tim is just a kid that Batman would have never met, you know what I mean? So for him to pursue being Robin, it's just like, it gives him a character trait that none of the other Robins have, you know what I mean? He kind of forced his way into Bruce's life.
They mentioned
that.
And
I think that said something to Bruce.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They mention it in the Zero issue, and it's even mentioned in a few issues after Lonely Place of Dying that Tim sought out the role. He wanted to be Robin. It wasn't by circumstance that brought a new Robin. Tim saw the need for it and desired it, and would have probably stayed Robin forever had it not been for Grant Morrison.
And I don't
Grant
mind
Morrison's like
that.
this villain, just like, I'm going to get Tim Drake out of the costume. That's my Grant Morrison impression. What do you guys think?
It was really bad because all you had to do was a really bad Scottish accent and it would have been a better impression.
I know, Ian. I was fucking kidding.
All I want to say is that I created this Robin character to piss people off.
Oh, and then all of our Scottish fans leave.
Ian, we usually don't get off of Grant Morrison's dick. Let's just spend the rest of this podcast just making fun of Grant Morrison.
Okay.
I would just take a lot of fucking acid and then I just spew subconscious onto the page, and then people give me money for it. It's fucking epic.
I'm a huge Tim Drake fan, and I hated Damian at first. It wasn't until close to the New 52 starting that I went out and bought the trades of Batman and Robin, and then really started liking Damian as a character. And
that's the thing, is he went through a major character arc.
Oh yeah,
and
it was
didn't give him credit for it. And then when New 52 started, they took him back to square one, had him go through a character arc, and then killed him. Like,
yeah.
damn it!
I'm pissed that happened because Damian.
If you were reading the New 52 Batman and Robin, they actually had like Bruce and Damian working together. I've been reading that, and like every issue is like, oh, they're hugging. It's so sweet. It's fucking dark as shit. It's dark as shit, but it's just so.
I know it's dark as shit, but it took another 18 issues to get to the point where he was at the end of the old 52.
Right.
Yeah.
He was at that point where he was ready to hug his father, maybe within like 2 issues, and then all of a sudden, oh, now I'm afraid. Then in the very first issue of Batman and Robin for the New 52, Damian's like killing bats because it's fun, and they literally took his character back to square one and had him go through the exact same character arc.
Well, the very first few panels of Batman and Robin 1, they're down.
Yeah, he did. Grabbed a bat out of the air in the cave and crushed it in his hand.
Yeah, but he didn't do it because it was fun. It was just because he was fucked up because his mother fucked him up.
He just got Milan. He just got through that. That literally in the issue, it's the number one issue. It's the problem that, oh my god, he's a psychopath again. But we just got over him being a psychopath and turned him into a human being that was cool.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the New 52 though, is that it doesn't know what it wants in continuity. So because we've got Damian Wayne as Robin, because we want to keep all of Grant Morrison's Batman stuff intact, but we're also rebooting it where we want people to come in. We have to set Damian back to square one because that's what's going to introduce people to his character. But for readers like us who were very much so invested in Grant Morrison's Batman run through all those volumes of Batman Reborn, it's just like we just saw Damian grow as a person and grow more strongly into the role of Robin, and now he's back to being like just being a murderer, and it was very, very frustrating.
Yeah. Rob, you were going to say something?
And, in the, like you said, kind of regressing the character, in the very first few panels of the New 52 Batman and Robin, they're down in the sewer, and Bruce is making this boat and sending it off and saying, that he's not going to mourn the death of his parents. He's going to, in fact, celebrate their anniversary. And Damian's just kind of like, why are you even mourning death? You need to be looking forward, And it's such a stick in the mud again. I agree. It's like, we just went over that. Damian should be like, Dad, you're here. I finally get to work with you. Look at everything that I've learned. Look what I can do. That would have been an approach to have Bruce saying, okay, I get what you want to do, but you can't be too eager, rather than him being a tard all over again. And then, like, look, Dad, I found the pearls that went down the drain when grandmother was shot, and then look, I'm going to send you.
Actually, you know what? Here's the thing, if I may, real quick.
Yeah.
You know what those 18 issues of Batman and Robin should have been? It should have been Bruce learning to accept Damian, as opposed to Damian learning to mold into what Bruce wanted him to be.
Yeah, I agree, because that's another problem, is that Bruce doesn't seem to want to accept Damian at some points, because Damian will do something that can... I mean, Damian is never going to be Dick Grayson, you know what I mean? He's never going to be that happy-go-lucky Robin. But he's got... I think that in his issues, he's gotten as close to that as he's ever going to be. And Bruce just seems to keep on being like... And in any second, he's going to go back to strangling killers, you know what I mean? And it's kind of annoying, because it's like I've always been on Batman's side when it comes to treating other people, like the way he's treating Damian. But in this case, it's just like, Bruce, open your fucking eyes. You know what I mean? It's very frustrating, and their character dynamic has always been frustrating.
Well, and something that somebody pointed out, and I had to go back to it, I can see my issue of Batman and Son over here, is that Bruce, I'm going to go on record by saying this, and we'll see if I'm right or not. Bruce tests Damian's blood, and Tim says in the Batcave, great, so now I'm going to be related to the son of the demon. And Bruce says nothing, takes the sample, and leaves the cave. I think by the time Batman Incorporated is done, we get to issue 12, we're going to find out Damian was never Bruce's son to begin with.
I doubt that, to be honest with you. Hold on, let me say this. I doubt Grant Morrison would do that.
I hope not, because I liked the idea of the, Batman 666 of like, they could have done a whole Batman based on Damian, and that's a book I would have bought.
But let me say this. I doubt Grant Morrison would do that. I have no doubt in my mind DC might.
Yeah,
I
for
have no
sure.
doubt in my mind DC would fuck
They
up.
very much so want to set Batman back to a very safe status quo, and Damian has always been a threat to that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
No one, just for Batman's character, no one wants Batman to have a family. No one wants Batman to have other Waynes. And the stuff that Scott Snyder has been potentially introducing a brother for Bruce, and I haven't been reading Batman, so I don't know if they picked up on that. But when I was still reading it, they were implying that maybe Lincoln March was Bruce's brother, and he's got a son now. You're running into nearly the same problem DC had with Superman before they did Crisis on Infinite Earths. Is like, we've got too much connection to Krypton. We want Superman to be the last Kryptonian. In a way, I think that people are going to start to have that problem with Batman. We want Batman to be the last Wayne. You know what I mean?
Well, and it also...
That's ridiculous. Because it's not like he's the last Wayne. I'm sure there's uncles and fucking shitty, spoiled.
No, his parents didn't have siblings.
No, he's not.
There was Aunt Martha or something like that from one issue back in the 60s. But no, there have not been any other Waynes. His parents didn't have any siblings. He's the last of the family line.
And I think that's a problem. If you look at any superhero that has had a kid, what happens to every kid in comics?
Dies.
They die.
They kill them off because it ages the character. All of a sudden, now Batman is a dad, which I think for the whole night.
He's always been a dad.
Hold on, but that's not his point.
Yeah, but he's been a dad to all kinds of Robins, or whatever. But
Here at the Wayne Adoption Center.
Yeah, I mean Donna Troy had a child. They killed that child off. I think it's comics in general is like, we can't turn our heroes into mom and dad, and they've got to go change diapers before they go run out to save the world. So I don't know. It makes me mad that you create a character. Grant Morrison said it in Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman podcast. Damian was created for one purpose, was to teach Bruce a lesson. So he was created to end up dying. He was supposed to die in the first run of Batman and Robin when he gets shot in the spine, and Grant's like, we'll keep him around a little bit.
See, that is surprising. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, I didn't know that, and I'm a little bit like, that doesn't sound like something Grant Morrison would do, but I guess, we all fall victim to the way comics are written. But, I don't know, I like the idea of just as a current Batman fan, I don't know how here's the thing about Batman. Batman has been around since the 30s and has always stuck around the same age. The thing is that as a current Batman fan, I loved the idea of seeing Bruce Wayne being a father figure and a legitimate biological father figure.
Yeah,
but
totally.
And I never think to take into consideration, but what about Batman fans 50 years from now? You know what I mean? But it's just like, as a current Batman fan, I wanted to see him stick around because he brought Bruce to this place where he's never been before, and it's a place I like exploring. You know what I mean?
So I think the way you do it is, I think you can have Bruce Wayne grow as a father and stuff. And I think the way to do it is just, you have Lazarus pits. Have him not go into one voluntarily. That's it.
Well,
totally.
I mean, obviously you could just reboot again, but
if you want to keep it in the same canon, you have him in a fight with Talia or someone, or you have Joker trying to make himself immortal, something like that. Because I could believe that totally.
That brings up a great point. You mentioned the Lazarus pit. I cannot believe on any earth, if a Lazarus pit was real and your son just got brutally murdered, there is not a parent on this planet that would not pick up their dead child and run to that pit.
The thing is, it's tricky as to whether or not Lazarus pit...
Talia's a bitch, I could see Bruce bargaining almost with anything to please resurrect my son. That
Yeah,
could be
but
Bruce's
the
breaking
thing-
point. You want me to take over your kingdom? I will. Just save Damien.
Actually, just to throw this in with random issue that no one else except Ian remembers, there's a thing where Ra's al Ghul basically starts a zombie apocalypse after Batman had closed all the Lazarus pits because they served some function, blah blah blah, bull science, whatever. But the thing is, to make sure that basically zombies wouldn't exist, Batman had to create a Lazarus pit, but he did it in the Batcave. I'm just saying, like, it's a really simple plot. If you want to keep Batman physically young but be able to have character development, you've introduced Lazarus Pits already. You have him accidentally get thrown into one and emerge as a younger man physically, but he keeps all the mental.
Yeah.
He keeps all the mental development.
I mean, my only problem with that is something you actually addressed. So I'm not going to
The
say I
thing-
totally disagree.
one
It's
thing,
just that Batman
one-
has always been so anti-Lazarus Pits. For that to be a conceit
No, that's why I'm
for
saying
him-
he throws in...
Because
No,
there's-
I
but the
know.
thing
I
about the
said,
Lazarus-
as I said, you addressed my problem with that. But again, just as a Batman fan, I'd be like, if this is the reason we're keeping Batman around longer, just reboot. You know what I mean? It's because it's like, it feels like his
Guys.
character has been tainted.
The thing, I completely disagree with that because I think I love the whole Batman has a big family because he has like fucking 4 adopted sons, 2 daughters, and fucking whoever else knows. He's never been alone. And if they do reboot Batman, of course they're gonna bring in fucking Dick and Jason and Tim and whoever else eventually. So. With that, I do like the whole idea of just throwing him in a Lazarus pit accidentally. But the thing with Rob, I don't. The reason Batman doesn't want to use the Lazarus pit is because it fucks with your brain, and Damien is a little kid, so.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
like,
but that wouldn't
that's
equate with.
that's why he refuses. That's why he refuses to go into the Lazarus pit because if he can fuck up a fully grown man's brain. To make you go crazy and psychopathic, and I want to commit global genocide because plants are important. Okay, whatever you say. But what do you think it's gonna? But what do you think it's gonna do to like however old Damien was, like 12 years old? He's just still a developing
was
brain.
already a killer to begin with. Now
Yeah, but
he could
still.
be killer. I mean, he could be killer full time now. Yeah, I get that. I just think that would be. I can't believe that.
I'm gonna
Yeah, but
agree with Rob.
as a father, it's just like, but he wouldn't think of that because he's just like, if there's a way
Yeah,
for
I
Damien
know, I
to live on,
understand.
I will throw my son in there and he'll just come back and he'll be returned with me. And then I think an interesting story could be told about Batman dealing with the consequences of that.
Yeah.
And I understand with that, but the thing is, you gotta actually take the body on a plane and actually hear myself out.
I
Something of.
Yeah, I can hear it too. Does anyone have? Let's all put it in headphones real quick, just to make sure. I'll be right back.
Sure.
But basically,
Yeah, there's a really bad echo.
But if you do that, the body. That's the thing I was gonna say. If the Lazarus pit is like wherever the place is, I'm not sure if there's a Lazarus pit under Gotham or whatever, but it is there is in the Arkham video game. But if the brain can only take so much, the brain will start to deteriorate after a few minutes. So if you do throw him in, does it fix the brain as well, or does he come out or retarded with brain?
That's what happened to Jason. That's what happened to Jason. He was brain in the original book, and that's my biggest problem with the movie is that you don't get Talia at all in it, and she was like such a big part of the book. Is they removed the fact that Jason was brain dead and just working on surviving on muscle memory alone, just on the streets of Gotham again, which was really brilliant, kind of a full circle thing for his character. But yeah, that was my problem with the movie, is they just went straight to the Lazarus pit. And then people always complain about that. Oh, well, I like the movie better because they just used Lazarus pits instead of the Crisis on Infinite Earths. No, they used both in the book, which is fine because, I mean, if you're gonna punch the universe, then yeah, there should be consequences to that.
Yeah, but
kind of annoying. No, what happened is it crossed over 2 universes, one where Jason lived and one where he died. So the universe in which Jason died, he came back to life. What I wanted to read is the story where Jason's still Robin and he and Batman are just on a mission and then Jason just dies right there. That would have been a much more interesting story, in my opinion. Just Batman dealing with, basically his adopted son that he's had for decades now having, I don't know, what, a brain aneurysm just in the middle of a fight.
Or to be swinging across the rooftop and all of a sudden just drop 20
that.
stories.
He has a heart attack in midair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a dark story, isn't it? But still, it'd be interesting.
Like,
'cause that's
damn, where did that come from? Like, just like
No, that's how they
Too much
set it up.
McDonald's.
No,
Alfred
that's exactly how they
Boswell.
set it up. Though he was supposed to live in one continuity and he was supposed to die in another, and so they merged when the universe was punched, and he was brain dead in the continuity in which he died. Well, what happened to the other one that was alive? Did he go brain dead too? Maybe they both went brain dead. Who knows? Anyway.
And Batman's like, you're full. Since when did you have faulty genetics? All right, you're poor.
I forgot that
a friend of
have those.
something a friend of mine had asked. He said, Batman's been around 70 years or so. He's like, what would have happened if Dick Grayson had always been Robin? He never would have aged, never would have became Nightwing. There's no Tim, there's no Jason, there's no Damian. That once Robin was created as Dick Grayson, he always stayed Robin. How would that have set if we never would have had anybody else other than Dick?
I'm gonna say
Wouldn't
Adam
be as
West.
interesting.
I honestly
be as
don't think
interesting.
Batman. I think the character wouldn't have lasted as long as he did, because the wonderful thing about Robin is that each of these Robins, I'm not going to say they reflect the era in which they were created, but it forms a new character for that each generation to connect to in a different way. They're connecting the different aspects of the character. If it had always been Dick, I don't think Batman and the Batman and Robin dynamic would be as popular as it is. You know what I mean? Because it wouldn't be as adaptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there.
I'm glad that Tim Drake was created, but I had never thought of that before.
Yes,
Interesting
it's an
point,
interesting
though.
thought.
I don't know. I'm trying to think how it would really work if, because you'd have to change so many stories. Because, I've never read a comic book where Dick Grayson was Robin. Let me amend that. If it wasn't a so many years ago book, I've never read a comic book or a story arc where Dick Grayson was Robin.
Me neither. I'll admit. I've seen
have
it in
one.
animation before, but never a straight up comic where, hey, here's an adventure between Bruce and Dick.
I have one that I bought for $40, and it's an issue with Batman and Robin with Dick Grayson fighting the Riddler. It's really cool. It's the only one that I own, but all the other books before then have either been Jason or Tim, so it was kind of interesting.
Oh, actually, now that I think about it, I have some collections of I have the greatest Joker stories ever told, and there are a couple issues where that's in there. But I'm just talking about I've never gone to the store and just
I
picked
have
up
Elseworld stuff that's like Long Halloween and Dark Victory, obviously. Yeah, that's Dick Grayson. And there's Elseworld stuff where he's Robin, but nothing that's just okay, here's a story in main DC continuity where it's Dick and Bruce.
I think it's because I think it's become kind of like Dick Grayson used to be Robin, but now he's full-time Nightwing. It's in the long ago now. It's he used to be Robin, but now he is Nightwing. And it's interesting, when he first became Nightwing, it's everyone's who's this guy? And now it's every person I ask online, who's your favorite superhero, is oh, it's either Nightwing or Tim Drake. It's even above Batman, it's yeah, I love Batman, but fucking Nightwing, man. Nightwing's awesome. Nightwing's awesome. So it's just I don't know, it's interesting how popular, certain characters get, some underground characters get. Not really underground, but yeah.
Alright, so we kind of skipped over Tim and just went straight to Damian. Is there anything else that we really want to say about Tim?
I like the green. I like the green and red costume that he has. Because 90s Superman books and Batman stuff. But I don't know. The red costume was a little bit. It was good, but it was a little bit too plain for me. I like the the green and red.
Okay, and Rob?
I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, you mentioned the costume. I had 2 points. I like that they had said towards the old New 52 that Tim was actually kind of surpassing Bruce as being a detective, and I think Bruce even makes that comment that Tim's going to be so much better detective than I could ever dream to be. But the other point that just popped in my head when you were talking about costume, how do you feel in the new DCU that Tim was quote-unquote never Robin, that from day one he referred to himself as Red Robin? So that
I think that was stupid too. It kind of ruins the whole point of why his character was there in the first place.
Yeah, fucking stupid.
About the New 52, I just ignore all the stuff I don't like. And
Okay,
I'm the same way.
That doesn't make it okay.
I know it doesn't. I
But
know it doesn't. But I'm just
what the
like.
writers are doing. They don't like something. They're just like, it didn't happen. Fuck it.
Yeah, and
Totally.
I think that's what's going to happen in another 5 or 10 years. I mean, Scott Lobdell is not going to stay on Teen Titans forever, and I would hope at some point we get a Red Robin title again, and I could see somebody going, I don't like that. Tim was in fact Robin, so I could see a retcon coming before too long.
And it's weird, it's actually like Red Robin's costume in the 52. I like that the cape actually looks like bird wings. I thought that was neat.
Yeah, I like the costume. It's an interesting kind of it's an interesting design. It's interesting that people don't really like it all that much. But one thing about Tim that it makes me laugh so hard. In the gay, geek community, basically, there's this really big fucking, I don't know if you read, the Teen Titans book, but Superboy and Tim Drake always had this weird kind of like.
Oh God.
Oh, I'm serious. I'm serious. It's like. And he never,
like I said, just one video, Milan. I will pay you like gajillions of dollars. We can get through one video without you bringing up something completely uncomfortable in a sexual manner.
You homophobic cunt! Shut up.
No, I'm not homophobic. I'm just saying,
I'm not gay.
It's just like, no, it's nothing to do with homophobia.
La 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 la, I'm not listening. La 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 la.
No, let me explain.
The ultimate Robin fan.
No, let me explain.
No,
Basically,
don't fucking explain.
There's this weird thing because I mean, just think about it. I'm not saying like Superboy is, but maybe because in the comics, in the pre-New 52, is Tim Drake a virgin? Because it's like he had like girlfriends with, he had Stephanie. He has girlfriends with Stephanie Brown, but weirdly, I've heard that he's still a virgin or something, and he hasn't been with a girl, quote unquote. So it's like weird.
Yeah.
No, he's not a virgin.
Just one video where we get through with Milan going, I happen to like S&M. Just throwing that out.
But I do like S&M. What is this? Is a natural thing. Whatever.
It's like, I feel the need to bring this up just because people are not paying enough attention to me right now.
The only thing I'll chime on the point that you're making. In the old 52, the reason for Tim's costume change was to honor the death of Superboy.
Oh,
really?
I didn't know that.
That's once Connor had died, and we get the 1 year later story, Tim is in his like all red and black costume, and it's made mention in Teen Titans. I don't forget what issue it was, that his costume changes because he's honoring Connor Kent.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
That's cool.
Just in a friendly way, Milan.
Look, shut up. I'm not saying this. This is like what stuff that other people on YouTube have said, and it's just.
But I feel the need to bring it up just because I need you to pay attention to me right now.
It's not about being attention.
I shall dance and sing right now, just so that you just look at me, look at the clown dancing and singing.
Ian, shut up. Fuck you. I'm not doing this because of attention. I'm serious because you guys want to hear what people. You want to have the full scope of Tim Drake, or do you just want to have the lily-livered friggin' PC version? Like, YouTube is filled with shit.
I will concede your point. There is this guy on YouTube. It's called the Gay Comic Book Geek, and when
we've arrived here.
No.
Yep, Ian, are you ready? Brace yourself.
No, when Earth 2 was coming out and they were saying that Alan Scott was going to be gay, his top choice for an Earth, modern Earth, would be for Tim Drake to be gay in this universe.
Yeah, totally. It makes sense.
I guess.
I don't like changing people's origin or orientation just for the fact of, we need to have a character that's relevant. Then create one that's relevant. Don't go changing it just for the sake of, we're going to make a change.
I mean, I guess with Tim it could work because, like, you couldn't do it with Dick because there's this whole, awkward history with Barbara.
Yeah.
And the
You
thing
couldn't really do it with
he's an
Jason.
acrobat. Dude, he's an acrobat. You know what they say about acrobats, right?
No, I don't know what they say about acrobats, Milan, because you just make shit up.
There's this one Russian saying about acrobats, and they sit in the camp and they sit on their vodka, and when the lights go out.
Dude, I'm not making shit up. They actually say acrobat and the aerialist male ones. They apparently get a lot of poontang, which is like, of course, they're freaking daredevils.
God damn, Ian, let's end this.
No, let's continue on to the other point that I was trying to make. That was something serious. You couldn't do it with Dick because he's got the history with Barbara. I believe Jason could probably be bi, but he's got that thing with Talia, so you could go either way there. Tim's about the only one where there's no really important character-defining relationships, except for Stephanie Brown, who, once again, why didn't they just leave her dead? She was so much more useful when she was dead, because then she actually met something, and then they're like, but we're gonna bring her back to life in this stupid, convoluted way and not really explain it just because this writer wants to write about this character, so we're gonna just let her have her day.
Well, since you brought up Stephanie, her whole purpose for being Robin, I was like, what the hell is going on? It was just to kind of shock the readers, and then we're going to kill her off, and then, like you said, it's some convoluted cockamamie story, and then to have her in Batman Incorporated, pre-New 52, and then, she never existed. Oops, Cassandra never existed. I'm like, what the hell?
Exactly.
That's the thing about the Stephanie Brown death that I don't really like. They made like Leslie Tompkins into a child killer, and I'm like,
no. She let her die. I know, but really liked the story because I liked it because that was the point where it was a war. It was the scars of war, and Batman lost one of his oldest allies. It was kind of like watching his parents die all over again. And it was kind of his fault this time, because it's because of the world that he has created by being Batman in Gotham that one of his parents' oldest friends made that decision. And yeah. I loved it, and it was so twisted, and it was his fault, and it was a great character moment for him. And then it's like, but she faked her death, and she didn't actually feel bad, she was just acting, and...
that's the part that kind of upset me. And I thought it was a real touching scene when she's in the hospital bed. I think she says something like, was I ever Robin, or was I a good Robin? And Batman says, yes, you were. I thought, that was really kind of sweet. And then I felt like that whole thing was pissed all over and going, we faked her death. I'm like, son of a bitch.
It took away some of Black Mask's balls, because they killed, Black Mask's one of my favorite villains, and they kill him in the most ridiculously dumb way.
Oh, yeah.
And then to take away the one thing that he really had, it was him and Joker. That was it. That had killed a friggin' Robin. Even if she wasn't in the Robin costume, I don't care. She was still Robin at that point because Tim hadn't really moved into the cave again yet.
Right.
So the thing about Stephanie Brown and just Black Mask, what was it? That scene when Rob was talking about her in the hospital bed. From what Ian is telling me, I think it would have been so much more fucked up if she's like, "Am I a good Robin, Batman?" And Batman just looks at her and just says, "You were adequate." And then
or to whisper in her ear and go, "No, you weren't.
You suck ass.
You were.
You were an embarrassment.
You were below average.
No, it's gotta be straight just Batman. It's gotta be straight just like dead introverted Batman. Was I a good Robin? No. And just like awkward silence, and he just like backs out of the room slowly.
Well, I'm gonna the last thing that Stefan hears is boop, 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 boop. Hey Tim, your costume's ready.
Was I a good Batman? Was I a good Robin? You were below average, and then she dies.
And she died. That reminds me of
that
reminds me of a cyanide and happiness.
She dies of a broken heart.
All of that being said, I think if you have characters that are in existence and you reboot your universe, then bring everybody over. And then for DC to be like, well, Stephanie might be out there, we just don't know where she is. I'm like, horseshit. You know, unless they're waiting for a Red Robin title, and then that's when she pops up again, fine, but, you know, they're playing so coy with those two characters, like, well, we don't know.
Well, they're doing that
because we don't know what the fuck we're doing.
They keep picking and choosing with just whatever the hell they want. So they really should have just it was obviously a very forced and kind of rocky way to start a universe, just because you didn't know what was in canon, you didn't know what characters you wanted to carry over. It was just a mess.
Well, DC's attitude is everything is in continuity unless we tell you otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not DC. It's fucking Jim Lee and Dan. I like Dan Didio. It's fucking Jim Lee. I blame everything on Jim Lee. I blame all the world's problems on Jim Lee.
No, he's in the executive right now.
He is? Okay, sorry, I was misinformed.
He thought like I think Jim Lee with the whole New 52 was just Jim Lee getting his own back against DC. He's like, oh, so you want to kick me out? I'm a rebel. I'm gonna go start fucking Wildstorm. And then he comes back like, oh hi, I'm an executive seat. Now I shall transform DC into Wildstorm. But Warren Ellis this time. No Warren Ellis this time.
I used to think it was kind of Jeff Johns that was kind of ticking me off, but the more I kind of listen to Jeff Johns talk in interviews, it sounds like he's the one that's trying to repiece things back together the way they should be and tell Didio, like, hey, we need to try this. I would hope they get this thing ironed out before too long. And how much longer do we have to write New 52 on the books after we're at the 2-year mark?
Yeah.
Another 5 years.
And it's like funny because they keep
later,
they have
New 52, and we're just like, we're like 70 years old, man. How the hell is it the New 52?
No, guys, we're gonna get to the point where like it's funny because they keep dropping books and just replacing them with like substandard Batman and Green Lantern titles.
True.
And it's just gonna get to the point where like none of the original books except for Batman, Superman, and maybe like Action Comics are still running.
Yeah.
It's just variants on Batman and Superman, just like Batman, fucking Gotham superhero.
Well, I'm surprised. They used to do this in the 90s and even 2000s. Rather than just say, okay, like Constantine was just released as a new title. Rather than say, okay, we're going to start this and we'll see if people buy it. Why not bring out miniseries or little maxi series and go, okay, it's not part of the New 52. If people like it, then maybe we'll turn it in. But it's like, oh, we're going to run like Teen Titans. The whole first giant arc was just so Ravengers could get a book. And hey, that's my phone.
Go ahead, man.
It's DC calling you to be like, go fuck yourself.
it's like shut up. It's like we have a sniper at your head.
We have a sniper at your head.
Rob comes back and he's just like, I take back everything I said. DC is amazing. I love all the decisions they're making.
Hey guys, I'm back, and we should probably really shut our mouth. So I love Dan DiDio, and I think they're doing a great job. And
Jeff Johns is really attractive too.
Would you guys just bone the hell out of Jim Lee? Because I would.
You know what? I don't care. Jim Lee, you're a son of
a... A wonderful woman that was a saint and
And you know what, guys? I really hope they turn everything into a Batman book. Why the fuck do we need a Wonder Woman book? Just put her in a Batman book.
No, Wonder Woman just becomes Batgirl. You know, it'll be awesome.
Totally. Just have everyone wear a variation of the Batman costume.
Even
just put-
it's like, you know, maybe I should just do this too. And his his ass is inside of a bat. Batman just becomes ruler of the world.
Like, even the villains just become Batman somehow. It doesn't make any sense, but, like, the books are selling for some reason and no one knows why.
It's like the Penguin starts wearing a bat symbol. The Joker would be in heaven.
So
Yeah.
basically what you're saying is Batman is going to be the first Borg, and he's going to assimilate the whole entire globe to be Batman.
Yes.
Okay, now there's finally been a Star Trek reference that is more than 2 seconds of a dumb joke on Geeky Gentleman. Thank you, Rob.
No, he actually, like, cuts out the Earth to look like a giant bat symbol.
It's just like back in the Silver Age, just has like a giant bat signal on the moon. So it's like, you just like, oh look, it's the bat signal. No, that's the moon. Everyone like literally runs into an alley if like it comes out as fucking variations of Batman. And game imposters.
Okay. Let's move on, and this is probably the last thing we're gonna talk about because I think this is a good place to end the video.
Okay.
Is Robin a valid character in modern day?
Fuck yes.
Yes.
I don't.
I will argue that people say, you know, who's the Trinity from DC? They'll say Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. I will actually say, once you say Batman, the next word out of people's mouth will want to be and Robin. I think he was the first sidekick, and then, you know, you got Bucky and, you know, Kid Flash and all these other...
Oh wait, can I bring up one thing really quickly? You know, people always complain that Batman's like such a terrible person for bringing a child to go, you know, fight these brutal criminals on the street. I think Captain America's much worse. He brought a kid to war.
But
Well,
kids were enlisting, kids were enlisting right and left. I mean,
that doesn't make it okay.
Wasn't Captain America like fucking 18 when he joined? And they just gave him the super...
An adult. That's still an adult. I'm talking about, like, Bucky was like 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bucky was a child because I've seen motion comics of the original Captain America comic, and Bucky was just like he was basically a paper boy for the U.S. military, and he just happened to see Roger taking off his mask.
Okay, anyway, Rob, go ahead. I wanted to make that point real quick because it's something I always found really funny. You know, he brought a child to war. You know, that's...
Hey,
that's
Bucky,
really
you want to shoot a couple of Nazis in the face? Golly gee,
Yes,
Cap,
sir,
I'd love to.
and
Just give him a Tommy gun. Give him a Tommy gun.
Milan, Jebediah Springsteen on Captain America takes Bucky to war.
No,
Nah.
Jebediah Springsteen takes a kid to war.
Yes, that would be awesome. Jebediah Springsteen becomes like a Captain America and just takes a child. I saw a paper boy and I came up to him and it's like, hey, get in my car. We're going to shoot some Nazis.
It's like, oh goody, I'm Jewish. It's like, oh goody, I'm half Jewish. Let's kick some Nazis.
Here's how you do it. Milan. It's the Soviet version. It's like it's Comrade Russia or whatever, Comrade Soviet or something like that. And he takes, you know, a paperboy that's like starving to war with him. It's like, the Americans had a Captain America, so we developed Comrade Red.
Comrade Russia.
Exactly. Anyway, Rob, you were trying to say something intelligent, and then I fucked it.
I think, you know, Robin has whoever Robin is, and I think we could probably see a female Robin come right around the corner. But I think Robin as a character has kind of solidified himself as part of American pop culture, and I think he or she could have just as much longevity as Batman. I think wherever you're going to see Batman under a DC Comics banner, Robin is right around the corner. So I think, like you said, each Robin was kind of created to kind of represent the times, and I think he's definitely relevant.
Totally.
I'm going to take the issue with this, and I'm going to take the opposing side. I'm going to say he's not unless you like the character. I think that the people that like the character find reasons to make him relevant today, and I feel that for the most part, for the mainstream, he is pushed to the side. I find it interesting that you almost never see Robin in the main Batman titles, Detective and Batman. He shows up every so often, but it's very, very rare. I find the character was a product of the age, and they've tried to find ways to make him fit, and I think you can do good things with the character. I just don't see him as relevant much anymore unless you already have a liking for him.
Well,
I could see that.
I think that by that token, we're always going to find ways to make Robin relevant, because I think most comic writers who come onto a Batman book, have this thing for Robin where they'll continue to make him relevant. But Batman can be considered kind of an outdated concept too, because he's a costume vigilante, going out there fighting crime, and dressing up like
that's something that's actually happening, though.
Yeah, but I
That sort
suppose
of
you
crime-
could say that
dude,
the idea of
to quote
taking a
Batman
kid with
Beyond.
you,
Yeah,
taking a
to
kid
quote
with you
Batman
is a thing
Beyond.
that's outdated.
Yeah, that's
To
what I'm
take
saying.
Yeah, to quote Batman Beyond, that type of crime fighting went out with a Tommy gun.
Yeah.
I can see
He's
Ian's
basically
point,
a guy.
but I think that Robin will always find a place in American comics.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you get rid of Robin, I think you risk of alienating a lot of younger people. Because I love Robin, and hell, my brother loves Damian. That's the only character he'll like. Whenever I come home with a bunch of comics, he goes like, "Hey, you have anything with Damian in it?" I'm like, "Sure." And he loves Damian, and the kid.
If it's Rob, if it's Commissioner Gordon, tell him that we'll be right out.
Sorry, 1 second.
It sounds like that phone from the Adam West show, doesn't it? It's got like that really old style ring to it, so it makes me laugh. Anyway, I don't know. I find Robin to be a character. I feel like Robin, much
Sorry,
like I feel
apologize
about.
for that.
Oh, it's fine. I feel like Robin the same way I did about Superman when we did our video on him. I find he's a character that's interesting if the writer is good. Otherwise, I think he's kind of flat, and that he's just around because he's always kind of been around.
But you can take that type of logic to any sort of comic book character. Then
I agree.
No, because Batman's always been relevant. Batman's always been something popular, and it's not. You can do
Not
good
true.
Batman. No, Batman's always been around.
Yeah, but he's not always been popular. Really in the 70s there weren't there wasn't this massive pop culture love for Batman. It kind of was. It was in kind of a standstill. But again, Ian,
you had the Bill Adams stuff.
I'm saying multiple. In wider pop culture, not just comic fans. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, comic fans.
I think that you can say. I think that it's harder to do Robin well in a modern age than it is to do Batman. I'll agree with you with that. But I think that any comic book character is only going to stay relevant if good writers continue to come on and do new and interesting things with them. So I think that Robin can just be seen. I think an argument can be made that Robin is harder to do that than say Batman. But yeah.
Fair enough. I don't think the character's relevant unless the writer's really good. I think Batman stays relevant whether or not you get a bunch of bad stories with him. New 52's been going on and the stories have been mediocre at best. People are gonna lynch me because I didn't care for Death of the Family. But at the same time, I don't think that Robin has that same quality to him. I don't think Robin transcends the times.
I disagree.
I disagree too. Just looking at, I have 2 nephews, and they run around the house with one wearing a blue cape and one wearing a yellow cape, and they say they're Batman and Robin, and they are 4 and 5, so they're picking that up from, I would like to think from Uncle Rob, but just from the toys that are out and just different things that a 4 and a 5-year-old are doing that, and they're getting it just from wherever that is. I think that kind of says something to still both characters, that it's not like the one that's 4 years old is going, oh, I have to be Robin. He's like, I'm Robin. He's happy to be that character.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there will ever come a time where we have Batman without Robin.
All right. I said that was going to be the last thing we cover, but something really important that I think we need to touch on at the very least briefly. How did you guys feel about John Blake?
Everybody has to say.
I mean,
I like John Blake.
I get what they were doing. It was a wink to
John
the audience. I think it would have had. They could have done it two ways. They could have just kept referring to him as detective. Detective, go do this. Detective, go do this. And then when he's getting the pearls, or not the pearls, a duffel bag at the end, he says, what's your name? And he says, Richard. He says, oh, Dick Grayson. I think, at least for the fans, we would have went, oh, holy shit.
I disagree.
yeah. I agree. It didn't have to be his name was Robin. In the theater, I was kind of having an internal struggle. I was like, I love that we heard the name Robin drop in a Nolan Batman movie.
Yes.
But that's not a human name. I mean, for males at least.
Robin Williams?
No, but okay.
Look.
Did I just completely contradict you? Yes.
No, but Ian, it's not a common thing, and also with the reference that they're making, it's like, that's stupid.
Why his name though. That's why he changed his name is because of the girl's name.
Guys, I think Rob, I think they did that because if they did, actually choose a name from one of the Robins, since John Blake is such,
One in the audience got it. No one in the audience.
I mean, I know no one in the audience would have gotten it, but the fans would. And if they say like, "Oh, this is Mr. Jason Todd," then they would kept expecting him. When is he gonna die? When is he gonna die? And if he's Dick Grayson, then it's like, why isn't he a circus acrobat? And if he's Tim Drake, then it's like, isn't he supposed to be a kid?
Yeah, your point is exactly right, because my parents went and saw it, and my mom came out of it going, I bet you were so happy to see Robin in the movie. And I was like, all right, I see the point. Me being the comic book fan, I'm like, there is no John Blake. But my mother and father came out of it going, I bet you're pretty happy to see that guy was Robin this whole time. I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like the character better as a character than I do him as Robin. I honestly think I almost would have liked it more if it was like, hey, my name is Terry McGinnis.
Yeah, that's the thing Manos kept saying, and I wouldn't have minded that, but at the same time, I like that, we get this more realistic version of Robin. The way that came around did work for me, that Batman kind of inadvertently trained him as far as the motivations go, and that he's going to go out and get the training on his own terms. That being said, someone made the point that just made me laugh my ass off. Is like, if he becomes Robin, he's gonna have a hell of a time. You ever try to keep 40 orphans out of a bat cave?
I thought that was weird. I was like, why put Wayne Manor as an orphanage right on top of the Batcave? And John Blake can't use Wayne Manor? It's like...
No, he can. I mean, I assumed he'd be living at the orphanage helping take care of the kids, but it makes me laugh. It's just like, now I gotta keep a bunch of orphans from playing on the piano and getting into the damn Batcave.
He's just gonna train him like he's just gonna train him like he did in The Dark Knight Returns. Just make a little army of fucking little Robins.
That's terrible.
A point I did want to make real quick before we run out of time is that people were like, "Oh, he'll become Nightwing." I don't see any reference in that. The lady that's handing him his bag, she looks down and goes, "Oh, Robin, you should use that." To me, that is signifying, okay, yeah, that's his name. But if this, quote, John Blake person is going to become something, I think by her saying, oh, Robin, you should use that, in my mind, it was like, he's going to become Robin. He's going to use that name as his crime-fighting name since he wasn't using it as a cop or something.
Yeah. And I agree. I think there's something you could do with it. I think the thing is, in the Nolan continuity, Batman became such a big symbol, so...
I honestly think the way we were supposed to take it is he becomes the next Batman. Just because Batman... Yeah. See, I took it very much the same way I take the Mask of Zorro, that Zorro and Batman is an idea, and it doesn't matter who's behind the mask, it's what the mask stands for, and that man is bringing that to the mask. So... when I walked out, I was kind of like, yeah, he's Batman now. He's Batman.
I could see that.
Totally. He's of course he's Batman. I mean, when I first saw the movie, I'm like, and then I heard the news like, oh, is it gonna be Nightwing? No, he's gonna be the next Batman.
I'll
What's wrong
admit,
with you?
I waited
So-
after the credits to see if there was a shot where he pops up next to the new bat symbol, like, "Evening, Commissioner."
Yeah, I did the same thing. And it is called Dark Knight Rises, and his brother says the last scene is that the Dark Knight is rising.
Yeah, he literally is going up. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah.
That's really cool.
I mean, the rise kind of goes throughout the entire movie because you have the rise from the pit, you have the rise from the pit of depression and the literal pit of, the prison. You have the rise from the destroyed city. You have the rise from anarchy, stuff like that. So, I mean, the theme carries out really well. It is a fantastic title the more you think about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked that the thing is, for me, the second I saw him shoot the guy and then throw the gun away, out of pure disgust, I'm like, okay, he's Robin. He is our stand-in.
So Batman's just like, you're gonna need a mask. So I'm like, yeah, okay, we get it, Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, if you're gonna fight people, wear a mask. Yeah, I guess as soon as I
like,
saw him throw the gun, I was like, he's
one
Robin.
little scene where he's fighting alongside Bruce because of that scene where he says you're gonna need a mask. I'm like, come on, Chris, throw us a little bit of bait. Have one little fight where him and Bruce are fighting a bunch of Bane's guys dressed up in costumes. Come on, give us a little something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't need that. Because the thing is,
I wanted this. I was like, I would like to see Joseph Gordon-Levitt alongside Christian Bale in costumes. I didn't need it. I still like the movie, but
let me just say this.
What I would have done
would have seemed like a little. Can I just real quick? It would have seemed a little much, and the fact is that he didn't. There's nothing to give us the fact that he has fighting training beyond a regular police officer. So it really wouldn't have worked in the movie.
I would have taken it one beat rather than seeing John Blake rise up out of the water. I would have liked to see him push a button and then a new bat suit rise up instead, and that's all you see is this new bat costume, which would just kind of reiterate that Batman says Batman could be anybody.
Yeah, I would have preferred that as well, and I also would have preferred if it was the yellow symbol.
Yeah,
that would have been.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, that was the thing. Is like I always hated that about the Burton film is, it doesn't make the yellow symbol doesn't make sense until the bat signal exists, because it's the idea that and that's the thing I love about Ink. The bat symbol he had fucking glowed.
Oh yeah,
that was awesome.
That the symbol on his chest is to let people know it's Batman. It's the guy with the signal in the sky. This is Batman coming for you. And that's what I really liked. It doesn't make sense without it being there first. And I remember I talked to one guy, like, I hated the Nolan films because it didn't have the yellow circle. It would have made sense in Batman Begins. It wouldn't have made any damn sense in Batman Begins. Well, like, hey, I've got this little thing on my chest. Would you, put up a searchlight and, put a bat in front of it so I can, have this make sense?
Yeah, it's like, that's kind of narcissistic, Batman.
There was a problem in Wayne Tech.
Totally, it'd be awesome.
There was a problem in Wayne Tech, and we made 55 of these things. Do you want one?
Oh man, you're gonna have to give me a sec. That was
good. The thing with the Nolan films is that the bat symbol with the glowing orb around it would look like the Begins bat symbol, the one that's on the poster of the Dark Knight with the glowing orb around it, because that's the way it is on the what is it called now? On the bat signal. I can't believe I forgot the name of that. I'm a shitty Batman. So it would look weird, but I don't know. Just something a little different about the costume would have been like Batman transcends people. You know what I mean? Just like a little bit of a different logo. I don't know, something. It would have been cool.
I agree.
Totally.
I don't know.
Me too.
I think John Blake gets a lot of flack, both from the media says there was no, or the regular critics that aren't comic fans go, there was no basis to make him Robin, and there really was. And then the comic fans go, why didn't they just make him a real Robin? I'm like, because it wouldn't have worked as well, and no one would have gotten it.
Oh yeah, I loved Joseph Gordon-Levitt's performance. I thought it was great, and in the context of the universe that it was, after rewatching it a couple times, I'm like, I'm okay with him being John Blake, and I'm okay with the reveal of Robin. And just hearing that line and me saying it now, I remember smiling in the theater, kind of like, okay, I wish it would have been Dick Grayson, but it was nice to hear the word Robin mentioned. When Nolan said...
And the thing is, actually, here's what you need to do, Rob. You need to get your wife to do some, like, voice acting, or we need to get a woman to do some voice acting, because I'm pretty sure you don't see her face when she says Robin. I'm pretty sure you don't see anyone's face when they say Robin. So you can, like, dub over that part and just have it be Dick Grayson, and then we'll make a fan edit, and all the fans will be happy.
There you go.
I think Ian's already got that in the works, don't you, fella?
No, because I don't care enough about it that much. I really don't. Like, if I was gonna do any dubbing, it would be Michael Caine saying, "We both know you never really stopped." That's all it needs.
My favorite line that he ever spoke in the whole Batman Dark Knight was the size of a tangerine.
See, whenever someone brings up Michael Caine, I always start doing that speech. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, when I was in Burma.
Like, I forget what it was. Someone was doing, like, a Gotham News parody, and, like, you could read the little crawl at the bottom, and there was one joke that just cracked me the fuck up. Wayne Butler, Alfred Pennyworth, is being prosecuted for war crimes.
So he was the bandit throwing the diamonds.
No, like, you burnt down a forest. That's a fucking war crime.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
That's really, like, no, you're not allowed to do that. It's that and race.
Don't hurt the trees, man. Don't hurt the trees. Poison ivy gonna get you.
See, that would have been a good one if Poison Ivy showed up in Dark Knight Rises and kidnapped Alfred. That would have made perfect sense.
She's like the DA. She's like, "Hello, I'm suing you for setting a fucking Burmese forest on fire." It'd be that'd be fun.
Oh no, yeah, if like Pamela Isley would have shown up and like, "Mr. Pennyworth, we're here to take you away for burning down a fucking rainforest, you dumbass."
Exactly.
She's like,
I'm pretty sure he didn't actually do it, but you know, we'll see. Like that's the thing we need. That's the prequel I want. Fuck, a Catwoman prequel. Just give me, Alfred's like, military group burning down forests and after this one crazy dude.
And imagine like he's just like really sadistic about it. Like he's just laughing sadistically when he's doing it. Ha ha ha!
Yeah,
fuck the rainforest.
Yeah, he's just got a flamethrower. He's like, evil laugh, evil laugh, evil laugh.
Yeah, like, gotcha, ya motherfucker.
Well, and then you could throw...
steal diamonds.
You could throw the Danny DeVito line, "Burn, baby, burn!"
Right. This was fun, guys. I think we've reached our ending point, and I think it's time to close out. Are there any final thoughts on Robin?
He's my favorite character, and I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Okay.
If I ever
well, you
get
should
skinny,
feel bad.
No. I shouldn't, but I do.
You should cry yourself to sleep every night for that.
It's a little harsh. I just like that. That should just be something that you don't tell people.
I'm an in the closet Robin fan.
It's my Voldemort. It's the name we shall not speak.
You're out and proud. Oh Lord. My thing about Robin. If I ever get skinny and ever start, learning parkour and martial arts, I'd love to play Robin. Yeah, shut up. I'd totally do it. But I'd like to play Robin if we ever get together. If we ever get together and do like a Batman fan film, I'd love to do it. If I can fit into the leotard, of course.
Oh God! Don't make me picture
I'm
that.
right behind you.
It would just be a legit translation of the costume. Like Milan would be wearing like the shorts and the fucking like lace up leotard.
Oh, dude, why are you describing this?
Totally.
Because it'd be hilarious.
Totally.
I guess I would have.
Oh, totally.
Or no, I'd be like I would play a stoner version of Alfred.
Okay.
Like,
I'm not being Batman. I'll tell you that.
Wait. This game's awesome, man. Fucking dinosaur.
Anyway, no, that's the thing is we'll just like replace the Geeky Gentleman version of Robin. We just won't have the Bane mask Godzilla. We'll just have the Batcave and we'll have Godzilla statue instead of Tyrannosaurus Rex in the background.
Absolutely, just a giant Godzilla statue.
Nah, I'm kidding. We'll keep the Bane mask Godzilla. Anyway, my final thoughts on Robin is I get why people like him, I just don't, and that's the situation.
And
he doesn't
has
work
to
for me.
subscribe to it.
Yeah, exactly. If you like him, you are objectively wrong.
Thanks for letting everybody know, Ian. Thanks for letting everybody
like
know.
You
that
can
you're
think that
wrong.
way, but you're wrong.
I am Ian, and I am infallible in all things.
Exactly.
No matter,
Yeah, I like Robin a lot. I think he'll continue to be a part of the Batman universe and a major part of the Batman universe, and I'd never like to see him go. I've always found his character interesting, and I don't think we'll ever be able to see a real Batman without a Robin right next to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, guys, thanks for listening. Rob, thanks for being here. This was really fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we are Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.